Number 10. Ural's meteor. Residents living in and around Chelyabinsk, Russia were stunned when a bright object lit up the sky as it plummeted to the ground and disintegrated in the Earth's atmosphere on February 15, 2013. The meteor, measured at somewhere between 12,000 and 13,000 metric tons, was so vast, it was spotted in 6 separate regions of Russia and 2 provinces in neighboring Kazakhstan, and illuminated a light comparable with that of the sun's for over 100 kilometers. The largest, unbroken piece of the meteor crashed into Lake Chaburkal, which caused a white hole through the ice and leaving over 53 pieces of meteorite beneath and around the lake's surface. Luckily for the World Wide Web, many Russian motorists have dash cams in their vehicles, allowing multiple perspectives of the spectacular event. All footage shows a blinding, green light following by an acid cloud tail forming behind the meteor. As well as the dash cams, surveillance footage from various businesses and establishments show the destructive effects of the airburst shockwave, which blew out windows and even caused a zinc factory warehouse to collapse. In total, 1,491 people were injured, including 180 cases of eye pain and 70 people suffering temporary blindness. Thankfully, no one was seriously injured in the event. Pieces of meteorite from them were collected and included in the gold medals given out on the one-year anniversary of the event during the 2014 Sochi Olympics, and 10 gold medalists received the commemorative medals. Number 9. Failed assassination. Ahmed Dogan is the founder of the Bulgarian center-left party Movement for Rights and Freedoms. On January 19, 2013, Dogan was addressing supporters at a convention when a man leapt on stage and drew a gun, pointing it at Dogan's head. Fortunately, the gun failed to fire, and the man was quickly subdued by audience members and security detail. Footage of the event shows the shocked reaction of onlookers, who are in adherent shock of what has just unfolded, and people beating the assailant before he is whisked away into custody. Investigators later reported the gun was a gas pistol filled with blanks, and had it gone off it would have inflicted non-life-threatening injuries to Dogan. The attacker was revealed to be a Turkish-Bulgarian man named Aktayi Mehmetov, who said his reasons for the attack was in protest of Dogan's and his party's ideology, which Mehmetov claimed went against Bulgarian principle and was a threat to the nation's well-being. It is widely speculated Mehmetov had no intent of killing Dogan, only wishing to out him to weaken his political ability. The following year, Mehmetov received a 3-year prison sentence for his actions. Number 8. Harrison Oken. In May 2013, a tugboat named the Askinford capsized off the coast of Nigeria, and the entire 12-man crew sunk down with it. After 3 days of attempts, divers finally managed to find and reach the wreckage in the murky waters, though any chances of finding survivors were believed slim to none. Footage from a diver's helmet cam captures the moment when the diver reaches an air pocket in the boat. Looking up, he sees a hand floating around in the water. Thinking it was a body, the diver reaches up and touches it, only for the hand to grip the diver's hand, startling everyone in the search operation. After the diver surfaces in the air pocket, he sees Harrison Oken, a 29-year-old cook, miraculously still alive and in shock. Oken had survived 3 days, 100 meters below the surface, without food and only a guinea coat for hydration. Oken was successfully brought back to the surface, and became a sensation across Nigeria. Oken's fame hit a new level when footage was released in December 2013 of the moment he was discovered, quickly going viral globally. Oken says he continues to suffer nightmares from the accident, and a local pastor even asked him if he used black magic to survive his ordeal. Vowing never to return to the sea, Oken remains alive and well, living with his wife and continues working as a cook, this time on solid ground. Number 7. Prisoner's Safeguard. Prison can be a place filled with tension and uncertainty, which is something Deputy Ken Moon found out during one of his shifts. Moon was on guard duty in Orient Road Jail in Florida, when without warning, inmate double Spread charged at him and got him in a chokehold. CCTV footage recorded the entire scene, and it almost looked as if the situation was about to get worse when other inmates rushed towards the five. However, the tables turned when the first inmate to reach the scene, Jerry DeGis Jr., unleashed a powerful punch to Burton's face, knocking all 3 men to the ground. Other inmates then proceeded to pull Burton off Moon, while another called emergency over the Moon's radio. Burton became overpowered and restrained on the floor by inmates, as Moon was attended to by another inmate, who helped him to his feet. The inmates involved in Moon's arrest get charges ranging from marijuana possession to aggravated assault, but on this day appeared to redeem themselves by saving Moon's life. Senior Guardian Prabhat revealed at a press conference upon asking the inmates why they stepped in to help Moon, they all replied Moon's a good guy. Burton was placed in solitary confinement after the attack, and Moon was taken to hospital for treatment of minor injuries. This video goes to show how even people society would label as unwanted are worthy of redemption. Number 6. Joplin Tornado. On May 22, 2011, a powerful F5 tornado touched down in Joplin, Missouri and caused extensive chaos for over 40 minutes before it finally dissipating back into the sky. Within a short time it was on the ground, 158 people were killed and 1,150 others were injured, with a total $2.8 billion in damages. It is recorded as the deadliest tornado in the United States since 1947 and the 7th deadliest overall, as well as the most costly tornado in American history. Security cameras at East Middle School captured the full intensity of the tornado's wrath as it entered close proximity to the building. The destruction being inflicted reflects the aftermath of a bomb exploding, with debris and furniture tossed around. The exterior shots of the school show how little mercy this force of nature has, and really puts into perspective just how devastating the storm was. At one point, nearly the entire vision is obscured by water and debris, leaving only the front concrete and the support pillar visible. Interestingly, Joplin is located only a few hundred miles west from where the US's deadliest tornado occurred, the Tri-State Tornado, in 1925, which killed almost 700 people. Number 5. Phoenix helicopter collision. On July 27, 2007, news helicopters from various news stations were following a police pursuit of a suspect driving a work truck around Phoenix, Arizona. Choppers from XKNXV-TV and Channel 3's KTVK were filming the suspect exiting his original vehicle and entering another, when both choppers collided mid-air unlike TV. KNXV-TV reporter Craig Smith shouted OMGs. Only a moment before the impact, then the signal suddenly cuts out and the footage is returned to the station's anchor, with no one quite sure what had just occurred. KTVK's reporter was cut off mid-sentence and the feed went black, with viewers and the station team believing it to be a technical error. Sky Fox 10 reporter pilot Don Hooper radioed into his station, stating he had just witnessed the two choppers crash into each other and plummet to the ground. Hooper's voice is shaken as he then radios the Sky Harbor Airport to report the crash in an attempt to get emergency crews to the impact sites quickly. Various samples of the aftermath was shown live due to the high traffic of news helicopters in the area at the time, and footage from Hooper's cameras show the collision and ground impact of both helicopters. Sadly, the two-man crews of both helicopters perished when the helicopters hit the ground. Number 4. Lake Paygunner mining disaster. On November 20, 1980 on Lake Paygunner, Louisiana, an oil rig belonging to Texaco made a major miscalculation when it accidentally drilled into a salt mine belonging to the Diamond Crystal Salt Company, causing the drill to jam. The rig was evacuated as people attempted to find a solution to the issue. 90 minutes after the rib jank, a vortex formed and set the rib down into the hole, along with many gallons of water rushing down into the mine. 55 employees were in the mine at the time, and quickly began an evacuation process once water started flowing in and flooding the cabins. Suddenly, the entire lake was now emptying into the mine much like an unplugged bathtub, sending everything in its path down with it. Video footage of the scene showed trees, and 11 barges and a tugboat were sent down through the hole. The suction was so great, the nearby canal flowing towards the Gulf of Mexico reversed flow back into the lake, and temporarily formed a 164-foot waterfall. After 2 days, the water finally equalized in the salt mine and the flow stopped. A total of 65 acres were washed away, and the lake went from being a shallow lake into a deep lake, changing the type of fish living there. The intake from the reverse flow also brought in salt water, which many mistook to be a result of the excess amount of salt left in the mine. Despite the destruction to the surrounding area, all 55 miners escaped, and no one was injured or killed in the incident thanks to well-rehearsed evacuation proceedings. Number 3. American Airlines Flight 11. It seemed like a typical late summer's day on September 11, 2001. It was about 8:15 in the morning, and residents of New York City were just beginning their day, either off to work, school, or tourist getting a fresh start to explore the extravagant city. Two filmmakers, brothers Jules and Thomas Nodet, were in the process of filming a documentary about the New York City Fire Department when they captured something that is embedded on people's minds across the world. Jules rode along with firefighters after they received a call of a possible gas leak. As fire personnel were inspecting the site for gas, the loud roar of a low-flying jet caused Jules and the crew to stop briefly and look overhead. Jules turned his camera around just in the nick of time to film Flight 11 crash into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Stunned, Jules and the firefighters began expressing their shock over what they just witnessed, before packing up and making their way towards what was ground zero for the September 11th attacks, a long day in American history as time seemed to stop as the world focused their sights on New York and later Washington, D.C. Often overlooked is a second piece of video from TV News rolling as Flight 11 hit the building. The plane is not visible in the footage, though the sound of the jet in the crash is captured on audio, along with the smoke bellowing up into the skyline post-impact. By the end of the day, 2,977 people died, including 1,366 inches the North Tower, and all 92 passengers on Flight 11. Number 2. The Suicidal Sisters. Police in Staffordshire, England arrived at what appeared to be a routine stop on the M6 motorway on May 17, 2008, after two women were struck by vehicles attempting to cross through traffic on foot. Little did anyone on scene realize the day was not going to go over as routine as originally expected. Without warning, one of the sisters ran back out onto the motorway and was struck by a semi-truck, which fractured the bones to her pelvis and legs. Seconds later, the second sister bolted out onto the road and was struck by a car, throwing her to the ground and knocking her unconscious. A film crew producing the show Motorway Cops were also on scene and captured the entire event on film. Despite the seriousness of her injuries, the woman struck by the truck continued to aggressively resist all attempts of treatment, shouting profanity and claiming the officers were not real. The second sister suddenly awoke and stood up. As a female officer attempted to restrain her, she struck a punch into the officer's face and ran onto the other side of the carriageway, again almost being struck by cars. Thankfully, the officers were quick to react and immediately stopped traffic, then restrained her with the help of onlookers. She continued to shout abnormal remarks, including pleading for help and for people to call the police. Finally, both sisters were restrained and brought to a nearby hospital. While originally thought to be under the influence of drugs, it was later discovered mental illness was the cause of their bizarre antics. The sister who was not seriously injured later murdered 54-year-old Glenn Hollinshead in an unprovoked attack, for which she was charged, but sentenced only to 5 years on manslaughter charges due to diminished capacity. Number 1. Skydiving Mishap. In late 2013, 9 skydivers and 2 pilots lifted off over Superior, Wisconsin for a day of adrenaline and adventure. None of them expected just how much adrenaline they would receive. As both planes prepared to jump, one plane descended rapidly towards the other, and the two collided at 12,000 feet above the airport. The second plane's left wing ripped off into fireball nearly engulfed the first. Several jumpers were out the door, ready to go when the incident occurred, momentarily wedging them between the two crafts, and several from the second plane being knocked off and sent into freefall. 5 of the jumpers were wearing GoPro cameras and captured the entire event unfold from both planes. Despite the seriousness of the situation, all 9 skydivers and both pilots survived and safely made it back to Earth without suffering serious injury. In fact, the first plane managed to land safely back at the airport as emergency vehicles arrived. In an interview on NBC, all 9 skydivers talked about how lucky they feel no one was seriously hurt, and all admitted they would gladly skydive once again, one jokingly remarking, "I'm more afraid of spiders."